the Green Book, nobody ever listens to the Green Book or takes any notice of it.
One of the phrases he used was he would cleanse Libya house by house. In the circumstances that we find ourselves with this explicit threat being put there.
Yes, he talks to the people and he attacks the people. You know, he threatens the people whom he wants to save, as it were, who are waiting to save him. The millions are waiting to, but there are no millions waiting to save him. So they have you know, everybody to the man. They have rejected the regime.
So we find ourselves then in the same situation as perhaps we saw in Egypt not so very long ago, and that is the question that really, in many ways, will make or break this situation, and that is, what will the military do? Now, the military in Egypt is perhaps not quite the same structure as the military in Libya, and Gaddafi's own forces and the way he's set up the security system there is a potentially threatening one still, isn't it? Do you think that the people who have worked for him in this capacity in the past will support him now?
No, I don't think so. But the thing is, the military is stifled. It is unable to move with these units that he has for his children and around him. These are units of tribal people, his own tribe, and mercenaries. They are there to defend him. But looking at the people around him, you don't see any power around him. He's in a place destroyed and demolished. He's not even you know, where is the force that he has? Anyway, I think the military, the Libyan military, does not have the force to fight, but I think they have certain clout, and they can make a difference. If the army officers, the top army officers, if the army soldiers turn against him, he will start losing very heavily and very seriously, and then he will have to plan his exit out of Libya.
The pictures that we are seeing as we speak to you are from Libyan state television, showing crowds of celebrators out on the streets. I'm not entirely sure whether these are supposed to be demonstrating in favor of Colonel Gaddafi or against, but certainly there appear to be plenty of people out on the streets of Libya. Ashraf Shamis, if we do see this speech being ignored by the people, how convinced are you that he will follow through with his threats of bloodshed? He will follow, regardless of what people think of what he says. He has a plan in mind. He will go ahead and implement it. You know, like the speech by his son, which is very, very similar to this one in tone and in content. It was a threatening speech, a very serious, ominous speech, and it was followed immediately by bloodshed. And this is possibly will be followed by bloodshed. And it's the first time that he's not in speaking to large crowds who shout to his name and shout mottos to him. Why didn't he has many people in the street. Why didn't he come in the street and speak to the public, to the people, you know, in the open air? He is afraid. He's afraid that maybe one of them will turn around and attack him. He is not. He has no confidence in the people. So he speaks to the wall, as he did when we saw him in that Haringou of his. Ashraf Shamis in London, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Now, let me just remind you, if you just tuned in to what's been going on over the course of the past hour, Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi has been on Libyan state television speaking for a little more than an hour in what was in many ways a rambling and very unfocused speech. He promised vague changes
to the system of government in Libya, but he also promised that he would not stand down. He believes himself to be the leader of the revolution still. He believes that many millions of people in Libya are behind him, and called them to come out onto the streets and to get rid of what he was calling the drugged youths who were promising to install an Islamist state in Libya. He also threatened significant military action should the people not leave the streets. Here's a few words from that speech from Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi.
Peaceful demonstration is different, and the undermining of the sovereignty is a different matter. The world must understand peaceful demonstration is different. Libyan people don't need to go to demonstrations. They can go to the People's Committee. But armed rebellion, to disconnect Derna or Beida or Benghazi, it's a different matter. We will not allow it.
So in the light of all of this, what reaction can we expect from the White House? Let's join Patty Culhane in Washington, D.C. Patty, we saw the White House and the Obama administration in the case of Tunisia and of Egypt hedging their bets for quite some time as those events were going on. Any different approach to the Libya question?
One of the biggest differences is we are not hearing directly from President Barack Obama on this. He's in Ohio. He's speaking about small businesses. He did a speech, but he didn't mention anything happening in Libya. Now, there could be a couple of reasons for that. The U.S. government feels that they really don't have a lot of leverage when it comes to Libya, as you know, and you just heard in that speech, you didn't need the translation to see how much Colonel Gaddafi was trying to pin this as having American involvement. The White House is very well aware of that if the president is to come out and speak, they fear that would taint the protests, that would make them seem illegitimate to the eyes of many because they don't want to be seen as this being an American-backed movement. Now, obviously, Colonel Gaddafi brought up several different things, the Branch Davidian conflict in Texas, Waco, Texas. He brought up the bombings in '86, almost 25 years ago. But we do not expect that we're going to hear from President Obama. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is going to speak about this, we're told, in about 2 hours.
We also had a comment from John Kerry, didn't we? Now, he in the past few weeks has also come out in various places, perhaps being a proxy for White House opinion. What's he had to say?
He has, and we've seen that. Now, obviously, Senator Kerry, a Democrat, head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, he's very close with the administration. So, of course, I've been pushing on that. Is he really speaking for the administration? And the guidance I'm getting from senior administration officials is no, they didn't tell him to go out with these statements. But Senator Kerry's statement is incredibly strong, much stronger than anything we've heard from the Obama administration, basically saying that Gaddafi's reign is done. The use of force against his people makes him completely illegitimate. He's got to go, sending a warning to his military commanders, saying that Gaddafi is irredeemable, but to the military commanders, you can be tried for war crimes if the violence against peaceful protesters continues. He's asking the U.S. government to reimpose sanctions. He wants the United Nations to look at emergency sanctions and also releasing humanitarian aid. One of the things that was interesting is he's challenging the Arab League and the African Union, basically, to stand up, and he brings up Egypt. Now, as you know, President Obama has been greatly criticized internationally about his handling of Egypt. He's not getting that same criticism domestically. But Senator Kerry says when U.S. credibility was on the line with Egypt, and this is a quote from him, the president acted with determination. And he's saying he wants to see the African Union and the Arab League do the same in Libya, and he wants to see the African Union do